We are back. Heavier than ever.
Yeah.
What do you think you're weighing in at right now, dog?
Well, the sad thing for me is I'm like losing weight, which we've talked about this phenomenon.
Dude, that's heartbreaking.
And honestly,
we're the opposite.
I weighed myself last night and I was like 193 at the end of the day. Yeah. But somehow fatter than ever at the same time.
Well, I'm fatter than ever, but I'm about 215, dog.
Yeah.
I blinked. I went from like probably 200 pounds, and then the holidays, like I blinked and I put on 15 pounds. And it was glorious.
Yeah. We've reached some new lows this holiday season. As a result of some cookies that were made.
Yeah. Cookies, cinnamon rolls, donuts, lots of
pies.
Massive amounts of carbs too, potatoes, lots of potatoes, stuffing. Yeah.
Yeah.
All the carbs. My joints are dying, dude. My shoulders are like yelling every day. My knees, my hips. It's brutal.
Yeah. It's a good reminder why we don't do that.
All for carbs.
Yeah. I mean, my mood was horrible the entire time. Like I felt like a different person the whole time.
Oh yeah.
I was just like grumpy and just wanted more cookies and it was.
Basically, as fathers out there, don't do what Sam and I did over this holiday. We get an F- for this holiday.
Yeah.
I was just on the couch in the corner on my iPad, just doom scrolling, just eating carbs and doom scrolling.
Yeah.
It was not my best moments as a father.
Yeah. I think, what do you think we taught our kids this holiday season? Like what?
Oh, for sure. I taught my kids about the dangers of massive overeating.
Oh, so it was a positive.
Oh yeah. I was teaching them. I'm like, see what's happened to dad right now? I was teaching them the whole time. It was funny too, because we went to church on Sunday, right? And our pastor felt like he was speaking to me and you a couple of times there. And then my 11-year-old and my 13-year-old,
they're looking at you.
Yeah, they'd be like, and if you're doom scrolling on the couch, like maybe you should not do that. And then both of them like leaned.
You're just like looking straight
leaned
forward.
in the aisle looking at me. Yeah, just like, yeah, it was.
You're just stone faced looking straight forward. Why are you guys looking at me?
Yeah, it got real, dude. It got real this holiday season, for sure.
Yeah. I was, as much as we made fun of cold plunging earlier on in the podcast, I've been like fully doing it the last couple months, and that was the only thing.
Do you do CrossFit too and jiu-jitsu? Are you also
jiu-jitsu
vegan now?
Yeah.
Cold plunging is the new CrossFit call out.
Yeah, like you can't not talk about it.
Yeah, like Sam talks about it all the time.
I do. And that was the only thing that really kept me together, I think. Like just knowing that I did one thing that like was somewhat good for me or difficult.
Yeah.
Like I mean, that's hanging on by a thread.
Dude, I can't think of anything good I did all holiday break. I'm trying to think. Yeah, it was grim, dude. It was grim.
Yeah, every year feels the same.
Yep. But I do agree, like as cringy as cold plunging is to talk about, it is a game changer. I know it's all trendy and stuff, but like
it's awesome.
Dude, we're going to have a whole episode. I told Sam this already, but I'm not fully ready to pull the trigger on the full sauna build out. Like, cause I want like a cedar Viking layer, like sauna build out that can like, basically house all of our friends and family. But I like slowed down and I have a sauna tent coming. So I have like a pop out sauna tent that you can get up to like 200. And for me, the contrast therapy, which again, I'm embarrassed even saying that term, this is very cringy. I get it, but it does help like a lot. The sauna to the cold plunge, like I like both.
Yeah. Yeah. My favorite thing about cold plunging is whenever you talk about it with people, they're always like, yeah, I just don't really like cold water. It's like, oh, that's interesting.
Yes.
And you don't say.
And the other thing that's amazing is like the visceral reaction that like most women have to it.
Yeah.
Like they get angry. Like if you say cold plunge, a lot of women are like so pissed at you.
Yeah.
They're just like, I don't like cold plunging, Like I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
It's like, I actually don't like cold water either. Actually,
yeah,
no one likes it.
Yeah.
I don't do it because I like it.
It is horrible. It is horrible, but so good. So good.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know how, but Sam bought this $40 Amazon cold plunge, and I don't believe he can fit in it. He can actually fit in it, but he claims he does. I ordered one. That thing is in the garbage already.
What?
I have a bigger cold plunge coming.
Get the jumbo.
Yeah, that thing is like, for
at 215. You need the XL, dude, at 215.
Yes, I have an XL coming. It's dope. Can't wait. I'll fit in that one.
All right, so
But you guys didn't ask about cold plunging. So
No,
we are
yeah.
doing Q&A today, but we just wanted to check in on our break, which we
Yeah.
both failed pretty bad.
yeah, so this will be our end of the year Q&A. This will be the last episode for 2025. And then we have some stuff we're excited about that we're planning
Well,
for.
maybe not. We have a surprise guest. We don't want to get into it, but we may get one more episode in 2025.
Okay.
There's a possibility.
We'll wait and see. Yeah.
When is New Year's? What day? Do you know?
I think Thursday.
Yeah, dude. There's a possibility we get one more up in.
Okay.
Very very cool guest.
Well, that might not come out until next week, though.
True, but okay. We're both right?
Yeah,
It'll be recorded in 2025, but it's coming out in 2026.
Yep. So hopefully that comes together, and then we're talking about doing a series that's really around taking all the different ideas we talk about in the podcast and just condensing them into really actionable, short, easy to digest, kind of in the lens of everyone's planning for New Year's and what do they want to do different this year, and everyone's fired up this time of year, first couple weeks of January, working on, hey, this year I'm going to do this or that, or
Yes.
read more books or go to the gym. And I think everyone's in the mindset, and we've covered a lot over the last 6 months, and a lot of it is actionable, but it's just spread out. So we wanted to do a more consolidated, here's kind of 2 or 3 episodes that lay out kind of the major areas to look at. Here's what we're working on those. Here's why they're important. Here's some different suggestions based on where you're at with these different things. So more to come on that. That's either going to be next week or the week following, depending on the guest situation. So yeah.
Okay, cool.
You want to start? Get into it? We got a bunch this week.
Yeah, and first off, thanks for all the questions, guys. They were really good. We're excited to cover a bunch of them. I think we're going to cover almost all of them.
We'll see.
But yeah, appreciate all the input. Really do.
Yeah. Okay, so the first 2 I am going to paraphrase because they were sent over voice note. They're really thoughtful questions that were lots of context given. So I'll do some injustice by paraphrasing, but hopefully get the point across.
Okay.
The first was around how do you help your children find and build their voice? And what he meant by that was he gave some context that he grew up with a very kind of, his father had kind of a authoritarian parenting style. And he had the quote in there, his dad would say, I'm not your friend, I'm your father. And every conversation he said was like a disciplinary conversation, more or less. And if he gave any type of pushback, it was kind of seen as disrespect. And he felt like my takeaway was it sounded like he had to kind of find his voice later in life. And it felt like he wasn't able to build that in an ideal way earlier on. And so he has, I believe, 4 or 5 kids now, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I think he's trying to do that with his kids. And so his question was, how do you help your kids do that younger, right? Like, how do you help them build their voice? I think something around the idea of being able to kind of be advocates for themselves, speak up for themselves, do so in a respectful way, right? But still kind of have that confidence to say what they're feeling or say what they're thinking or to have debate without it being kind of, suppressed.
Yeah. Woo. Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, since he has 4 or 5 children, right? That's the other thing I think he already knows, which is they all come out of the chute with different abilities to do that already, right? Naturally. Like one of my oldest kid is very extroverted, right? And has been developing and finding his voice from a very young age, right? He had no problem kind of doing that. And then my next one down is more introverted, right? And so he is figuring that out. And it's like, he's also at odds with having an older brother that's kind of overbearing too, right? So it's like kind of that double whammy of like naturally an introvert plus an older brother that's kind of like, kind of steals the show a lot. So sometimes it can be like hard as a parent to watch that, right? And you want to like, and I do jump in and, like I try and moderate it, and I try and kind of control the situation so everyone does get their voice, So number one, like I love that he's aware of it, because I feel like so many parents are straight up asleep at the wheel and don't give this really kind of any notion that you need to kind of help this. But I'll say this, number one, and I hate to sound like a broken record, but I also have to bank on the fact that not everybody that listens to every episode, and not everybody that listens knows the stuff we've covered before. So I'm just going to go back to some of the fundamental stuff we talk about on this show, which is number one, you must be emotionally complete with your childhood, and you must be emotionally complete with your father. And the reason I say that is because if you are not, if there's a bunch of incomplete emotions about how your father raised you, you could also go to the extreme other side of that, where you're just like, I'm going to give my kid all the voice, and they get to make all choices, right? And they get to say whatever they want. And I've seen that happen so much that I think it's worth saying that that is also like very problematic in a lot of ways, is when people are unfinished with their overbearing dad, which, this guy I'm sure was very overbearing. So that's, I'm not disputing that. But what I see is when people are unfinished with that, they go to the other extreme other side of parenting.
Interesting.
And then they feel like any of that is not good. And so what I would recommend is, again, go get complete with your father, because there's going to be times when you need to be authoritative. There's going to be times when you want to loosen the reins and have them navigate it. That's part of being a parent, right? Is kind of giving that well-rounded structure to your child.
Yeah.
And so I have seen a lot of people who are unfinished with their childhood, and they just went the complete opposite, and that creates a bunch of destruction as well.
Yeah.
And so I think strategically and tactically, let go of the stimulus and the triggers you have from dad, so that it doesn't feel weird to be authoritative when you need to be.
Yeah.
And then you also have the freedom to let them have their own choice and have both.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, there's emotional work to be done from your past. That's really the takeaway I want people to understand, is it's very hard to turn a new leaf if you're not complete with your past.
Yep.
It's very hard to repair a marriage if you're not complete with the hurt from earlier in the marriage. It's very hard to parent if you're not complete with the hurt that was done when you were being parented. That's what people want to skip that step, because it's painful. It's not fun. People don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
But it's very hard without kind of erasing the chalkboard from your past to like be present for what is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where I feel like, that's where I have a lot of problems with, like, what's that term? The 30-year-old parents use it more than we do. No, the parenting. The like
gentle parenting?
Yeah, the gentle parenting, like that. I have a lot of problems with that, because, and I haven't gone and studied it, but what I've seen from like parents that do the gentle parenting, that's just like, again, what it looks like from the outskirts is like people are unfinished with how they were parented, and so they're like giving their kids like free reign of like doing whatever they want. And then I've seen that really bite them in the butt too, because then the kids don't have any discipline, they don't have any governor. They say stuff that like is not respectful to adults. They're just wild, right? And I'm just like, dude, that's not ideal either, right? Yeah. So I think, like most things, that the truth in parenting is it's somewhere in the middle. You need to know how to bring in both. Mm-hmm. So that's my take.
Yeah, I think that's all good. My only thing that came to mind for me on this one is, it's not just about that end result of your kid having a voice or teaching them the skill of having a voice if the foundation isn't there beneath it. So it's kind of like, I can't think of a great analogy, but it would be like if you wanted someone to be a good pitcher in the profession, like in the major leagues, you wouldn't be like, hey, you should really practice pitching so you can pitch in the major leagues. It's like, no, you actually have to go through all the steps in order to get there, of like starting as a kid, doing little league, doing all these steps to build yourself up to the point where, yeah, you have to be good at throwing the ball well, but then you have to do all these other things well and kind of earn your way into that. And so it's not a perfect analogy, but my point is, I think it also has a lot to do with the person beneath the voice that you're building, right? So like, I feel like I felt very insecure as a kid, well into my teens and 20s. And as a result of that, had trouble finding my voice, right? I see the opposite for kids that are more confident and more just kind of, just more self-confident and more capable at a younger age, like your oldest son. I know it's he's a personality he's more outgoing, but I don't see him being someone that's going to he's going to have an easier time saying what he thinks and having more confidence behind what he says.
Yes. Yeah.
Than I think I would have at the same age, just because I was kind of more like meek and like, I don't want to
right.
Because I didn't feel sure about myself.
Right. And I guess like what I'm saying is, as a dad, right, you have to be checked in the game enough to really read what your kids need, right? And then have the time or find the time to actually help develop them. So my oldest kid, he was trying to do confidence building acts on his own since I could remember.
Yeah.
Right. So it was just kind of like, hey, just put in the guardrails, make sure he doesn't go to the ER that much, and then let him accomplish all that he wants and build a self-confidence.
Yeah.
My other kids are, to varying degrees of that.
Yeah.
It's not right or wrong. It's not better or worse. It's just naturally, innately, it seems, who they are. So my next kid, I have to make sure that I help him and motivate him to go find a bunch of things to accomplish and to learn and to build confidence, because his part of his natural disposition is just chilling and playing, right, and being more in fantasy, and that's great. And he's going to be creative, like he's going to be next level creative. This kid, right, and that I love that. And then I have to kind of help him lovingly, drag him into the real world more and go accomplish stuff in the real world. And watch to see when he wants to tap out, and then get him back in where he can just run around the field and play and do his thing. But if I am unfinished with my father, that kind of balance and me kind of helping be Geppetto as a puppet master will feel uncomfortable. It will feel overbearing. It will feel not good.
Interesting,
if I'm not complete with dad. You see what I mean? If dad was way overbearing. But look, and I kind of say Geppetto and puppet master as a joke, but as parents, we are kind of the directors in their childhood a little bit. And so we do need to get in there at times and help guide them, right? But then know, when am I being overbearing? When did I mess up? When did I overcross the line? And like I said, I need to be complete with my past, or that is freaking hard to do. It's too messy.
And you're making to me the same point, which is you're figuring out ways to develop your kids depending on their kind of unique attributes.
Yes.
And so my point with this guy is, in his situation, growing up the way he did, it wasn't just like his dad could have parented him the way he did, and then one day be like, hey, use your voice. When his entire life, the dad was kind of suppressing and being overbearing and authoritarian. You know what I mean? It's like, you can't just now have your voice. It's like you need to have all the kind of growth and the development along the way to get there. So that's my point with that.
Look, and no, and I agree totally. I'm not, disagreeing with you, but I'm just like, look, and we all know that kids sometimes they say really profound, cool stuff, right? But, finding our voice, right, is about building up life experience and actually having a voice.
Having a voice,
right?
Yeah.
And so number one, I think most kids finding their voice is kind of awkward because we don't really have a voice.
Yeah.
So I think part of it is just helping our children develop enough life to actually have a voice that people want to listen to, you know? And part of that is you being a dad and doing that too.
You're like triggering me. This wasn't part of the question, but maybe for another time. That's like one of my big worries with the way that their generation, our kids' generation, is going to grow up perceiving reality is going to be through looking at other people on something like social media, which I don't mean this to be like an old man rant about social media. My point is more that like a lot of the character building stuff I think happens, like social media is so biased towards this extreme novel version of life that's not really real. And so the things that build the character to help them find their voice, they may not be exposed to or be doing. And then you end up in this really weird situation. And like a concrete example would be like musicianship, or like starting bands. Like I think about this a lot. There used to be so much substance and kind of uniqueness about if you went to one city versus another, there'd be like a Baltimore style of music or like a LA style. And that's all just kind of washing away because people are all kind of looking at the same stuff online. And I think after a couple cycles of that, it's like, where is the substance coming from?
Yes.
When everything you're consuming is so superficial.
Yeah, surface level.
So surface level and superficial. It's like, dude, the character is built just hanging out, in the yard, like twiddling your thumbs, building a fort, like doing things that are very unremarkable and would never be on social media or TikTok or whatever. So it's like, that worries me because I like, especially just from a cultural perspective, I'm like, dude, a lot of the coolest things culturally come out of people that have these like very deep life experiences or unique life experiences that I don't know where those are coming from now. So that's my
and and this is their friendly reminder as a parent that like you don't, just because all their friends have phones doesn't mean your kid needs to have a phone.
Yeah.
You know, like just because they all like all their friends are on social media doesn't mean your kid needs to be on social media. Like that's another thing. Again, going back to when we're unfinished with our parents and when we're mad at our parents, we're scared that our kids are going to be mad at us and our
Yeah.
kids are going to disown us. So we got to be,
Yeah.
you know, fully their friend, right? And not their parent. And then guess what? I work with people all the time who are grieving that relationship too, where
Yeah,
they had no
totally.
guardrails,
Yeah.
right? And so, you know, again, it's like it's a great question, and it's really like there's a lot of ways you could go with that question.
Yeah.
But a voice is developed. That's like
Yeah.
the bottom line. Like when you're going to talk about like doing music, right? I'm going to shut up because you've built your voice around years of touring and practicing and performing, and you know what I mean. And it's like, dude, you have earned your voice over years and years and years
Right.
in music. So that's where I shut up and you talk because you know your voice was earned, right?
Right.
And that's what we need to do with kids is just find the things they're interested in and let them go develop a bunch of experience on those
Yeah.
different things. And then look, I think part of the problem is nowadays, right? Everyone has a voice on every topic, whether you've earned any of it or not. Right?
Have you
It's
seen
very
have
frustrating.
you seen like Gen Z podcasts before? Like have you seen any like just quick samples of the dialogue? It's like it looks like aliens talking. Like they're talking about nothing and there's no substance or like kind of depth
No,
behind what
I
they're
haven't.
saying.
Yeah, I don't know what you're like kind of referencing.
I don't know. I've just seen random clips. I remember I saw one. It was a very popular podcast clip of these two younger guys talking about Turnstile
Okay.
and how they wouldn't have existed if it wasn't for this other record, which the whole thing was complete nonsense.
Right.
But these guys were like so serious and convicted and kind of like LARPing as having a voice and like having some expertise in the topic. I was just like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like, who are these guys?
Yeah.
Like, it felt so weird and empty to me and made me sad, you know? And
Uh-huh.
I do. Just yesterday, we went up sledding on Fernan, and we were listening to John Denver, "Country Boy." That song, I
Yeah.
love that song.
Oh, I know you do. You have a real soft spot for
I do.
that
That's,
song.
I love it. I think because of this reason. Like, if you listen to the lyrics of that song, and our kids are super into that song right now, it's just like the most charming, simple life, you know, in the song. And yesterday, we were in the car, and Brooks was like, he's like, "Dada, when I get older, I just want to live on a farm and just work on the farm."
Yep.
And I was like, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
That sounds great. You
Yeah.
know, like he's attracted right now to the idea of just having the kind of simple life, and he loves like your guys' house, and he loves like taking care of animals and
Yep.
getting the eggs from the chickens. And I'm just kind of like, man, I hope we can keep that up because that's
Yeah.
like, I guess a counterpoint to what we're also saying is I don't think you have to go build some crazy skill set and like this unique thing. And it's like, you can find your voice, find your character, and find who you are through a simple life. But a simple life you will not find on social media, right? It's in direct contention with what would be shown on social media, like the life of what's described in Country Boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that is not ever going to be on social media because it's completely unremarkable. It's
Right.
like a guy that wakes up, has some freaking cakes on the griddle, you know,
Yeah.
some potato cakes, goes out and works the farm, plays his fiddle at night, and
Yeah.
that's it. You know,
Well,
like,
dude, that's my neighbor, dude. Like, shout out to my neighbor. He grew up in our small town, right? And he is the most mechanically capable, smart man I've ever met. He's like a genius savant when it comes to like heavy equipment and building, you know, structures and roads and like. And the dude like doesn't even have social media, right? He doesn't even have the internet really. He's like, yeah, you know, he's like, did you check out what was on KCOP the other night on channel 12? I'm like, what? Like he has like, you know, basically the broadcast, like, you know, basic cable, that's broadcast to him, right?
Yeah.
Like on an antenna. And dude, the dude has one of the like, again, talk about a voice. When that dude talks, like people just shut up and they listen.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
take his opinion because it is well earned.
Yep.
And that dude's never been on social media. He doesn't have any followers. He's just literally ran to the tune of his own drummer for a long time and built this whole wealth of confidence and information. And like talk about a voice, right?
Yeah.
No, the world doesn't know him, but it
Right.
does. But his
Doesn't
local
matter.
community does.
Yeah.
His local community knows that like if they need him, he is going to be there, and it's going to be done right, and like, you better check his opinion on this. So shout out to my neighbor. I don't know if we'd be on that mountain without him. You know what I mean? And as a man, that's very humbling. You know what I mean? It's like, when I can't figure it out, my wife's first call is to our neighbor, you know, and then he comes, figures it out, and then I got to go stew for like an hour and like, you know, be all ego hurt. And, you know, that's just kind of life on our mountain. But again, his voice was built like in the shadows just because it was a necessity for him.
Yeah.
And he wasn't trying to show it off. He wasn't having to like show him developing his voice on social media. I think that's the problem with all these kids now, right? They're too busy trying to show off the development of that voice instead of just like going and getting your grind on.
Yeah.
And go just develop it. You know?
This is the last comment and then we'll move off of this, but that also just all the things that I grew up doing that I'm sure a lot of our listeners grew up doing, like skateboarding, playing guitar, stuff like that. It used to be like you just did that in complete isolation for like an entire summer, you know, just 3 months of skating by yourself, trying to learn how to kickflip.
Right.
Or how to play a Metallica riff. And you're not posting about it. You're not texting your friends about it. It was just this thing where you're just building the skill and building yourself in the process and building your confidence. And I'm so happy that I had that and didn't have the pressure of, oh, I'm going to like take a video of myself now landing my first kickflip and like seeing what my friends think about it.
Yes.
So maybe for deeper discussion another time, but that's a great question.
Yeah, thank you.
And so his second question, which I also thought was great and will probably take us a while to get through, is it was around the concept of how do you model repentance in your kids through the lens of, he didn't really mean it in a Christian way. It was more around just modeling saying sorry, you know, and teaching your kids how to apologize.
Yes.
And modeling that as parents, which I have a lot of thoughts on, just based off of, I guess, recency bias. Like, it's something that we're working on ourselves because our oldest is now getting old enough to where he's acting in ways that he's doing the things that we do when we're angry, and we're having to, like, you know,
that's an uncomfortable place.
Yeah, and it's like, hey, don't do
like,
that thing.
See, you're like, oh, so cringy when you do it. It's
and so now what we can't do is just punish him or discipline him for doing the thing that we do. I think a lot of people do that, unfortunately, but we're also like, and you know, Raquel's been helpful with this, where it's like, hey, you need to go apologize for that, like the way that you reacted before you talk to him about what he did. You know, hey, I'm sorry for reacting the way I did and for, you know, losing my temper, or, you know what I mean? Like, I've had to bring that more into the equation because we can't have a disciplinary conversation when we're doing the things that we're telling him not to do. And so it's something that I feel strongly that we model in him for the short term, but also longer term. There's nothing worse and more painful than being in a friendship, relationship, professional, it doesn't matter, with someone that can't apologize and can't take responsibility for what they said or what they did. Like, that is such a maddening feeling where, because people inevitably make mistakes, say things they shouldn't say. And if you're not able to kind of clean the slate on that and have the humility to apologize, that's a disaster, dude.
Yeah.
And you see, you see people that are in their middle-aged years that are divorced or, you know, can't get through marriages, can't apologize for stuff. It's like, dude, come on, man. Like, when are you going to learn? You know, like I've just encountered that over the years, friends and stuff like that, family, where it's just like, that's like one of the most basic skills you need to have a successful relationship with someone. Again, whether it's romantic, your kids, family members, friends, whatever. Yeah. If you can't apologize, dude. Yep. I mean, it's doomed.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. One of the things I'm grateful for in my life is through a 12-step program and through like feeling like my life depended on me not drinking, you know, alcohol anymore. Like, in the steps, right? There's like a step where you literally have a whole list of people you're tracking down and apologizing to. And like, at 21 years old, that is a very, very humbling thing to do. And I wish the whole world would literally work the steps, because, you know, it's like, that's where I learned how to do that. Like, dude, your life depends on you being humble enough to apologize and to a bunch of people that you clearly wronged. You had a massive part in this stuff. Yes, you think a lot of those people, you think they had a part in it too, and that may be the case, but all we're here to talk about is your part. and cleaning up your side of the street. And it was like, it changed my whole life, and now at 44 years old and comfortable and having a little bit of status in my world, I have to remind myself to be able to do that, right? Because I can lose that really easily, and I can, think I'm right. And that's one of the biggest challenges we have as human beings, right? Is we develop this belief system, and as we're taking this belief system in, we're taking all this information in as factually correct information, even if it's not.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so much of our turmoil in this world, is we all think we're right.
Yep.
And it's like, so I try and do an exercise like pretty regularly where it's just like I try and really think of the other person's side, and I really try and like, could they be right? Could I be wrong? Like just keeping yourself on your toes to do that. And I think like if you do that enough publicly, your kids are going to pick up on it. You know. Now I will say this again, like all kids are different. Some of my kids, when they stub their toe or when they, mess up, they want to immediately blame something else.
Yeah.
I hate that rock,
Yeah.
And I get in there immediately.
Yeah.
And I have to be like, well, we got to look at our part in this, right? Which is we weren't aware, we didn't have enough body awareness to have know what we're doing with our foot. And that goes over their head when they're young enough. But I will not let my kids like blame other things or blame stuff when like I'm trying to teach them to take accountability very early on, for stuff.
Yeah.
Because again, some kids naturally and some, adults unfortunately don't ever learn the lesson. I mean, we all know people where it's like, it's always someone else's fault. We can never look at our own stuff. And to me, that's one of the most detrimental things a person can like, if you don't help them as a parent put that in check, that can eat people up as adults, right?
Totally. And they just end up completely externally focused.
Yes.
Where everything in their life is the fault of something outside of them. It's like, well, if it wasn't for this, then this.
And so we're bringing that up because really what we're talking about at the core of this question is that, right? If we don't learn how to apologize, and really below apology, it's really if we don't teach our kids how to look at their part in whatever, then it's going to be really hard to apologize because what do we have to apologize for? So I'm constantly, again, depending on the kid, helping them find their part in stuff. Grandma did this and I'm angry. It's like, okay, well, did we have any part in it? Like, I want them to explore that on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Right.
That's great.
I don't know who it was, but we were camping with all the families, and people kept stubbing their toes on rocks, and they were like, I hate that rock. It's the rock's fault, right? And they're not even my kids, and I can't help myself. They're like, who's this random adult over here
Pulled it off in the corner arguing with little kids.
I'm not. And again, hopefully it didn't look like I was arguing, but it's a gut level reaction to me. Is like I want to help them find like other pieces of this.
Yeah, I've seen you do that before with Brooks. I remember with like his bat when he was learning how to hit the ball. It's like a stupid bat. I hate this bat.
Yeah. And it's like, so anyway, it's like, it's something that, again, and this, again, it all comes back to unfinished emotions from the past. So one of the reasons I got into grief recovery work is my cousin killed himself, and it really broke my heart, and we were close, and, and it was a really rough time for me. And like he was one of those people that it just really seemed like he didn't find those skills on how to look at his part and stuff. Yeah. And it always seemed like from the outside the world was out to get him. It was the world's fault, and again, so I've just seen people like literally die from not understanding how to look at our part and stuff, right? Yep. And there's a lot of stuff I'm sure I don't understand about it, but like if I can help my kids navigate that early, I think that's a service we're doing to our kids.
I agree. All right. Let me go to some written questions here in no particular order. Okay. This is from Manuel. What would you say is the best way to deal with a baby's preference of a parent over the other, even if temporary?
You want to take that one? I feel like you had a take on that.
My take is I don't really have a take, to be honest. I mean, keep in mind our oldest is 6, and we've just been through dozens and dozens of these. I think at the baby level, I'm kind of like, it just is so random, and it just, at least in our experience, it would just change week to week or month to month, and it never really amounted to anything. So I haven't read too much into that in our personal experience. Like we never had to or felt the need to make some big correction there. There's been times that are more, I would say, meaningful where, for instance, our second child, we tried to rebalance a little bit where our older son kind of was spending more time with me, and then it kind of threw off the balance with my wife. And so we were thinking about how do we kind of we intentionally made some changes there.
Mm-hmm.
But he asked specifically about a baby and about babies. So I'm guessing like under 2, I don't know. Do you have a take on it?
Yeah. My take is under 2, the baby's preference is their mother. And and that's just nature. Like I don't, at least that's been my case. I mean, out of my 4 kids, the only one that actually knew I was even alive was my daughter. She kind of liked hanging out with me even as a baby.
Yeah.
But like all 4 of those kids, like there was never a question of like who was preferable. Like it's mom, right? And I think that's normal, and kind of I tried to help out as best I could. And then honestly, when they got to 5 and 6, and then they were like, "Oh, this dude's cool and he does cool stuff too." Like, I'm being a little jokey here, but like, yes, I was around, of course, the whole time, but like they didn't really start thinking I was cool and preferring my company until 5 or 6, really.
That's a good point. I feel like if this question is coming from, if your baby is preferring you for whatever reason, like I wouldn't expect that to last long, and just kind of don't read too much into it. It's like I think you're right, at that age, they're going to favor the mother.
Yeah, I think it's a red flag if they're preferring.
Well, I kind of remember that. Like there'd be times where like, I don't know, especially like the 1 to 2, where just for whatever reason, like they would want to hang out with me. Like I kind of remember that happening, but it was never a real long thing. Like it wasn't something that we ever read into.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, I think, and if it's the opposite, if you're feeling like the baby prefers my wife too much, I think you should re-examine that and maybe be okay with that. Because like, again, like we've talked about this on other episodes, but your role, I think when you first become a dad, you have all these kind of expectations around what it's going to be like and what your role is going to be and how you have this vision for how it's going to go. Mm-hmm. The reality is you're not contributing a whole lot outside of support to your wife, and you watching the baby can be an extension of support to your wife, right? Like you are watching them, you're helping a lot. It's very hard on you as it is your wife, but I think you have this expectation of I'm going to be like a father, or like that stuff to me like doesn't start kicking in until a few years into it, where you feel like you're able to contribute in the way that I think most guys expect to, where it's like, we're going to be outside playing and like, contributing more of maybe your unique, like what you bring to the table might not happen for years and years and years. Right. It's like,
I mean, they gotta, like, for me, it's like, they gotta at least start walking, and then we're like wrestling and we're doing kind of the rough and tumble stuff.
Exactly.
But like the holding and the nurturing and the food and all of that, like, yes, I helped whenever I could or whenever I was needed. But like, just change your expectations, right? And don't take it personal. Do you know how many times I've had one of my children handed to me and they look at me and just start crying immediately? That's happened so many times in my life. And it's like, I'm not their preference right there. It doesn't mean anything other than I'm not mom, right? And then I think too, like, just to reframe it, there's nothing more exciting for me, when my oldest, like, turned and then was like, I want to hang with you a lot. It got so exciting as a dad. And then it's like, dude, now the possibilities are endless for you. Now, like, you're up. Now it's your role,
Yeah.
Like, but as a baby, I would just change the expectations and not take it personal.
All right. Next one is from the homie Dave Mays. We've done a question. He'd had the baby carrier question a couple months back.
Yes. What's up, Dave?
His question is, over the last months, I'm pretty sure I've developed some sort of tennis elbow in both arms from carrying my increasingly heavier daughter around. What is the worst / most annoying repetitive strain injury you've sustained since parenthood, and how have you dealt with it? Do you have any?
I mean, I definitely have several. I mean, one was I slipped on ice one time and I hit my elbow, and I'm like, I think I broke it or fractured something, but I didn't go to the doctor. And so it was probably like 8 months of like it feeling weird. And
Yeah.
that one sucked. And then I have rotator cuff issues from like baseball and stuff. And like those suck. And then I have hip stuff too. So I definitely have reoccurring pains. And I don't know, at 44, to me, like I'm going down the rabbit hole of like not only physical fitness, but like I'm really studying mobility, flow stuff. Obviously, we're cold plunging, and looking into saunas. Like I just think there is like a part of getting older where you just have to understand like some of these nagging things are going to happen, and then we have to actually look at like being as proactive around rehabbing and staying healthy, and that may include diet. Like I'll tell you right now, all of these carbs and sugars are killing my joints right now. It is night and day from when I'm low carb. Night and day.
That's a good point, because I think Dave's in good shape, but it doesn't necessarily, like, you can look healthy from the outside but still have issues like that. And so I don't know if that's a factor for him at all, but I will say that, when your diet is dialed in, you're not eating inflammatory foods and a bunch of sugar and carbs and stuff, you're doing stuff like cold plunging.
Yeah.
To kind of like do like immediate same day benefit.
Dude, red lights. I red light myself now. I do a bunch of stuff that I would have thought was so silly before, and it works. I hate to admit it.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, my point is like, and that's why we do that stuff, why it's important to stay in shape and work out, So again, he may be doing all that stuff. I don't know. And I'm sure that there's some things that are just unavoidable injuries. So
I'll also like bro science alert.
Yes.
Bro science alert, but I'm about to drop some bro science. I have found that whenever something hurts, because I get tennis elbow sometimes for sure, and if I'm if I'm competitively shooting pistol, like I'll get tennis elbow a lot, and then I have problems sometimes with the front of my knees. But here's the bro science. Let's go. Whatever hurts, just look at the opposite side and just like work on that, right? So if the inside of my elbows hurt, I need to just start working this. Yeah. If my knees hurt, I need to work hamstrings and my calves and behind my knee. And so whatever hurts, literally just go to the other side of that body and just start like training that harder. And that has seemed to like help me a lot with all of these things. Like if I'm doing heavy pull-ups this way or this way, my elbows really, so then I got to just crush my forearms more. Like I have very girly forearms, and I need to work those. So again, it's imbalance, right? We're all imbalanced. I don't like looking. I've been looking into fascia a lot lately, muscle fascia.
Shout out to Alex Fascia. He's someone that we're in touch with through the podcast.
Oh, really?
And he has an Instagram that's just all fascia stuff.
Oh, dude, I want to talk to him.
Yo, you should.
Because I'm trying to go down that rabbit hole. Because from my understanding, and Alex is probably going to like, be upset with me right now because this is a very lay person's term of it. But, we're all in muscle development, and we're all, going to the gym and developing muscle. We're not developing fascia. Well, the fascia is holding all the muscles in. And so like there's more high school injuries than ever because like there's kids that are 16 carrying 205, 215 and they're squatting heavy and they're doing like all the stuff, but their fascia is not developed. And we're having a lot of injuries because we're like developing kids' muscles, but not the fascia. And I feel like that's probably our problem as older dudes.
We got to get him to weigh in on that. I don't know.
Dude, I would love to, maybe have him on or something, because like they're doing a lot of tests on high level professional athletes, right? And how they move on the balls of their feet. And again, there's like, there's a lot to it. I don't know what it is, like 25, there's some crazy amount of fascia in our body that connects everything. And it's like, and we're not looking at that. Yeah. So how do we get to that?
Oh, we're talking about the injury. So the other thing he didn't ask for us to problem solve this, by the way. We're just doing it anyways. I'll mention one more thing. Kelly Starrett.
Yes.
He does.
Supple
Leopard. You've probably heard of his work, but he has this thing. They're called like flossing bands. Mm-hmm. And I did this when I used to have elbow issues. Mm-hmm. You basically tie it really tight around your forearm. You leave the elbow open, and then you tie it around the bottom of your tricep and bicep.
Yes.
And then you kind of like move around a lot like this. And that did help me a lot with tennis elbow. and that's his prescription for tennis elbow. So I would look into Kelly Starrett and flossing bands.
Yes, thank you. I did a shoulder program of his that worked, and I'm being too stubborn to do it again, but I need to because my shoulders are hurting. But there's another thing for shoulders specifically. There's a company called Crossover Symmetry, and it's basically a band program that you can put in your door or on a rack, and you do all of this basically stuff. So that's been helpful for shoulders. And then shout out to Knees Over Toes guy. Dude, his stuff has helped my knees and my legs more than anything in terms of like this hunting season. I've been stronger uphill and downhill than I've ever been because of Knees Over Toes guy and some of his stuff, sledding, backwards drags of weight, a lot of it, like a lot of backwards walking, really, really deep like lunges forward. I forget what he calls them, but like basically split squats, very deep. So yeah, it's kind of like, it's fun. Like, I think it's fun as you get older to understand, like, you have to do more of that stuff, but it feels really good. So
Yeah.
a lot of good stuff out there.
And to answer his question, I actually haven't really had anything. The main thing that takes a hit for me is my posture. That I have to continually just, because when you have babies and
Well, you have the ankle stuff too, though.
Yeah, but that wasn't really related to parenting. That was kind of just, I've had that for like 15 years from skating.
Gotcha.
And it just sucks.
Well, I think we're very niche if we're talking about parenting related injuries.
Hey, that's what we are, dude.
I think we should just broaden it out a little bit because really the what we're talking about is dads getting older.
Yeah.
And how do we keep ourselves healthy? Because if you're all crippled and broken, you're not as fun of a dad as you could be.
Well, I do think seriously though, like I think lots of dads probably have the posture thing because when when you have a newborn, you're like slouched over in the couch holding them, or if you're falling asleep with them in your arms. Which that used to happen all the time where I'd take one of our babies from Raquel in the morning and I'd fall asleep with them again on the couch and it's like 2 hours of just hunched over, and I have to be really proactive with posture stuff. I'd love to do an episode on that because that's been a big thing for me of just continual having to battle against, like even right now, like I feel I'm actually going to do some band work after this just to like open up my thoracic spine because it's pretty rough right now.
Dude. Forget about an episode. We should do a whole workout program app, periodized baby training.
We could. Okay. Next up, we got our homie Roger, dude, a.k.a. Cardinal Sog.
A legend on the podcast.
Yeah, podcast legend. First question, is there a vision for how long you guys are trying to go with the podcast? You said you had a vision, so you go ahead. I haven't heard your take on this.
Well, I think there's a follow. I think
he had a follow-up around how do you approach difficult, challenging questions from your kids.
Okay, so the first one. So first of all, I low-key stalked Cardinal Sog over the holidays on Instagram for a couple of minutes, and I was like, man, this guy seems cool. I want to hang out with this dude. He's into some cool stuff. He's throwing off heavy Yoda, Overland vibes, preparedness vibes, and I'm just like, yeah, like you're speaking my language. So anyway, and Sam and I haven't really talked about this yet, but for me, one of my passions obviously is being a good dad, right, and being a good family man. But the other thing I think where I see this podcast evolving, and we haven't talked like. We're having fun doing it. We feel like, we're connecting with other guys and stuff. But like for me, I think where this goes is we're really talking about masculinity and men and being good men, right? That's like, we're veering into those topics a lot because I think we're both passionate about that. It's like, yeah, we got to be dads. But then there's so much I want young men to know. It's what you're just talking about with the 20-year-olds and stuff. It's like there is stuff we're I feel like Western men in 2025 are really kind of sorting out all of our history and what the future looks like and and what it is to be a man, right, in 2025. Like that is obviously on my heart, and I have seen all that men around me have been through, up into including taking their own lives, right? And then also like succeeding and having great lives. And I've seen the whole spectrum a lot.
Yeah.
And so what's on my heart really is I wouldn't be surprised if this podcast evolves into us just also talking, fatherhood, and then also just like what it is to be men and good men in 2025, and all the struggles.
Bro, we're almost.
Oh, sorry, 2026. Yeah. And like, what are we struggling with? So that's, and Sam could disagree, and because right now it's like, yeah, we're doing a fatherhood podcast, but again, we're really talking about masculine topics. What is masculinity in 2026? What is being a man? What are we up against? What are they telling us like we can't be? And what are they telling us we can be? And does that really align with what's in our hearts? And is that like the best advice, or is that like a trap? Like, those are all the things I feel like so many of us listening are really going through. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what interests me. That's what like motivates me to help do the best I can to help other men.
Yeah.
And fatherhood is obviously a huge part of that, but there's so much more to it.
Yeah. I agree with that take, because I think we haven't been happy with what is out there otherwise, and what examples. I think I'm thinking for younger guys, new dads, whatever, it's like, where do you look, and what are your potential sources of inspiration, or, of where do you go to learn? And I think we weren't happy with what's out there. And so we kind of have a different take on it, and I think a lot of it is kind of redefining some of those ideas of fatherhood and masculinity in a way that we like, and a way that's not a caricature.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I agree. And that to me does feel true to what we've been trying to do the last 6 months, is kind of have a fresh take on what this stuff looks like in a way that resonates with people that maybe it didn't before. Like, that's kind of what I was doing with the fitness stuff before, where it was like, hey, this topic has been completely destroyed by like modern culture and pop culture and social media, but hey, it's actually for you. There's actually a way to talk about it that doesn't off-put people. And I think it's the same for this, where these are really important things to talk about. And I think they get swept to the side because people don't like the wrapper that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to be the right people for a population out there that, are looking for something here.
Yeah.
And we're not going to be the right people for some others.
Yes.
Right. Some people might say, hey, I really like this person. I like Jocko Willink, or, David Goggins, or I like this, dude with a beard and a mustache, or, like with battle axes, or, I like this Navy SEAL beach program thing, or, hey, actually I don't like any of this stuff at all. And I mean? Like, I think there's always a spectrum of people. And what I found is, I forget who said this, but it's kind of the concept of like, just in who you are kind of your own niche, so we have our own weird mix of things that we're into and our backgrounds. And so we're going to be the right people. Like, we're going to resonate with a certain population out there, and we have.
Yeah.
And so, I don't have a vision though. I feel like we're 6 months into it. In my head, I was like, we need to do this for at least a year to see if it works or kind of where it goes. And it's felt like it's really been picking up the last couple months, which is awesome.
Yep.
And I think we're starting to kind of figure out, like, I do feel a little bit like, I knew this would happen, but like looking back on like earlier episodes and just kind of the way we were approaching, like, oh man, like I think we've learned a lot since then and kind of refined it. And I'm sure we will continue to do that.
Yeah.
But I really like the idea of, like having a fresh take on masculinity, which, by the way, is not something that I sit around thinking about. We're kind of in it, right? We're trying to think about how do we do that for ourselves, and we like talking about this stuff. So we're not sitting around like reading books around like, what is masculinity? I mean, I guess we probably have at some point, but
I do, but
no, you get my point though, right?
Yeah.
That's not like I think we're focused on just doing the things involved in it, versus like the topic itself.
Yeah.
But like we talked about doing something in person and actually getting to spend time with people that listen to the podcast. And I would love to just start doing more stuff like that. I think we could really do some cool stuff together.
Yeah. Yeah. So I love the question, and we'll see where it evolves. Right. But I think both of us are having fun, just getting together weekly, talking about issues that we think other dads are dealing with. And again, the feedback's great. The questions are great. 'Cause then it really, and that's why I'm low key stalking some of our listeners to just kind of see what they're about. Right. And what's cool is it's a very big cross section of guys, which is great. Right. And so from the little stalking I've done to listeners, again, we have guys from all different walks of life just trying to be dads. And I think that's what our hope was, is again, we want to be well-rounded with this podcast. We don't want to be a caricature of this or that. And some of those podcasts are great. Like if I'm going to, hey, I want to see just an absolute savage of a man, like lifting weights, I will go to some caricatured out thing of that. Right. But the reality is, in our daily lives, that's not really how it works. Right. We need all the different skills. So I think that's what we've been trying to do.
Yep. And I also think, like, we have talked about stuff in the podcast that I think are traditionally seen as kind of divisive or controversial topics. Not extremely, but our goal is, I do not want this to be a controversial podcast, or in the sense that we're trying to like stir the pot.
Right.
I hate that.
No, totally.
Because I think the reality is, if you have the right nuance and context, you could sit across a table from most people and have a reasonable conversation.
Yes.
And so I really like that aspect of it. I like the idea of being able to talk about this stuff in an open and nuanced way and kind of navigate it. I just saw a video, this guy that we're also connected to through our podcast, this guy Clay, he does a page called Discovery Deadlifts. I think I sent it to you.
Yes.
And he just did a video yesterday that was awesome. He was basically like cold called me and was like, hey, you're doing great. Here's some tips for like more engagement if you have a better hook line and all this stuff. And he was like, yeah, I'm not going to do any of that.
Yeah.
I'm going to just keep making my videos, and the people that are going to find it are going to find it.
Yep.
And I kind of feel like that with this.
Totally.
I will not, I don't want us to ever do anything unnatural to like get people's eyeballs or like be extreme in a way that's not authentic to us.
Correct.
Yep.
No, and I think that's why we both felt safe going into this podcast. Like, just so listeners know, like, we've been friends now for years before we even considered this. We've had these conversations just as friends for several years now. And so we really, I think, got a sense of who we were, and kind of, I think we aligned completely on that. Like, the goal is to help fathers out there.
Yeah.
Not make $1 million, not have 1 trillion followers. Like, none of our decisions have ever been based on that. None of our, it hasn't ever been that.
Yep. Okay. So real quick, his second question was, how do you approach difficult or challenging questions from your kids, especially ones which you may not have or know how to answer?
Do you want to go?
I don't have a strong take on this, just because our kids are younger and like those questions aren't really happening yet. And we've been able to be pretty honest about any questions that they ask. They're just not asking very deep questions yet.
Yeah.
Like last night I was laying in bed with Rudy for like 30 minutes. Like everyone's asleep. And then I'm like thinking he's asleep, and he's like, Dada. He's like, are some bad guys real? I was like, yeah. All right, buddy, go back to sleep. And then he's passed out after that. Like, that's kind of where we're at with the questions right now.
Dude, that's amazing. That's so good.
Like, those are literally the type of questions that I'm answering on a daily basis,
It's so funny you say that, because last night I'm showing my 13-year-old and my 11-year-old who are doing jiu-jitsu. I'm showing them this. I think it happened in Culver City. It looked like it's on a bus, and there's just this crazy guy talking crap to everybody on this bus, and everyone's like, what are we going to do with this guy? And this dude just comes up and gets him in a rear naked choke
I've seen that,
and puts him to sleep in 5 seconds. And I'm just showing my kids this, and they don't have a lot of access to like media, but I was like, hey, here's what jiu-jitsu can do. And I was like, do you see how elegantly this was solved by this dude that just had some skills? And they're like, but again, it's like, our bad guy's real. And then you're doing that at like the 4-year-old version, and I'm doing that at the 13-year-old version, like simultaneously in two different houses.
Lots of questions around what's the tallest, like, like middle of the night, like, what's the tallest mountain?
Yeah.
And tell them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're getting back to the question though. We're getting sidetracked.
Yeah. So do you have any?
Here's the deal. Like, this to me goes back to being able to apologize. The other skill I think you need as a dad is to have the humbleness to say, I don't know, son. That's a good question. Let's go look into that. Or, you know what? Like, look. And then the other thing I do, right, is I'm introducing my children to God. I want them to have a relationship with God, right? I want them to know that, like, dad doesn't have all the answers, right? And that's okay. So, like, part of me is also just like, I hate like when you're at a doctor and you can tell that they're just like making up some bullshit, and
Oh,
you're
yeah.
just like, you don't know what you're talking about, and I'd way more trust you and respect you if you just flat out was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But like this constant need for people in authority, i.e. dads and moms, i.e. doctors, this constant need to bullshit people is like so
worst.
unappealing to me.
Yeah.
And so like I say all the time, I don't know. That's a great question. Let's go check that out, right? And then
Yeah.
we'll go look it up, or we'll go into the Bible, or we'll go wherever we want to go into finding out answers, because dad doesn't have all the answers,
Yeah. We'll just doctors just make up words or conditions for they don't know. Like
Yeah.
like irritable bowel syndrome. Like, yeah, you have IBS.
Yeah.
Which is basically just an acronym for like diarrhea. It's like,
Right.
hey, I knew that before I came in here.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, you have IBS.
Yep.
It's like, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for that investigation.
Yes. Or they'll just like, people want to write a book, so they'll like make up a new term, and then people will be like, here's the term, and you're like, someone just wrote a book last year about that, and it like
Right.
has no bearing on reality, but like you can just write a book now,
Well-
so it's like, yeah. So
Have we talked about the erectile dysfunction thing, the history of that?
I don't think so.
Really?
No.
Oh man, I feel like I don't know if this is public knowledge or not, but I've definitely like gone into this and read about it and heard about it. But so they were doing research for I don't know, like I think it was a heart medication,
Mm-hmm.
and they just noticed that. So they were basically they stumbled upon what like Viagra is essentially.
Oh yeah.
They were trying to manipulate something with the heart, and then that happened as a side effect, and that this might be bro science, bro history, but I'm pretty sure what happened is they went to then like an ad agency and said, hey, we have this drug that does this thing, like help us create something around it.
Mm-hmm.
And this agency came up with the term erectile dysfunction, like invented a problem and a condition to then help them sell this new product category.
Yes.
So like, it wasn't a condition that existed before. It was like, hey, we're going to invent this name for this thing that we're now going to sell.
because we already had the product.
We had the solution already. So.
You know what? This is random, but like they did that with kale too. Like kale used to just be a garnish you would put like at the side of like Sizzler bar, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then the kale lobby, Big Kale,
Big Kale.
was like, hey, let's hire a PR firm, and then they like, this is a superfood, and they literally like brought kale in
Wow.
as a superfood, which before it was like a trash kind of garnish that you put to the side.
Yeah, like
But-
Big Bob's Big Boy, like the freaking buffet, dude, with
Yeah,
the kale
dude.
on the side.
Yeah, like yeah, that's all kale ever was, you know. And then like they
Wow.
hired some
Good
New
for
York
kale,
PR firm.
dude.
I know, dude. Like
That's
but
inspiring.
That's the world we're in nowadays, you know.
Okay. What are some goals or focuses you guys are hoping to bring into the new year?
Wait, did we do? I feel like before we move on from Cardinal Sogs, like did we?
I think we answered.
Okay.
Your answer is basically, if you don't know, you don't know, and you are honest about that.
Yeah,
you
the
know?
answer is like there's going to be a lot of stuff you don't know, and just be honest about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Goals or focuses you guys are hoping to bring into the new year. Do you have anything?
Well, I definitely need to lose 15 pounds. We've already covered that. I need to get into the gym. But for me, I have a couple of goals. Number one, me and my wife have different mindsets around money, we'll just say, right? And we handle money differently. We have different kind of outlooks on how money flows, and that's been a point of contention in our marriage, like time and time again. And again, looking at my part and stuff, I had to, my default is to blame the other person. My default's to blame my wife, and and I had to really look internally and be honest about where are my shortcomings, where do I need to grow as a husband, and so I have a real focus on upping my game around finances and being, and helping take some of that off of her plate, and so anyway, we have some serious kind of budgeting, kind of financial goals, and us coming together as a couple, and again, just kind of getting more dialed on that stuff. So that's a big one for me. And then again, it's almost as cringy as you cold plunging. I am a white belt in jiu-jitsu. So I have some personal goals on just consistency getting there,
Nice.
and just training this year, and doing that. So like finances, jujitsu, are and then business stuff. Just kind of hitting the ground running, like improving the business, like reaching more people, helping more people.
Yep.
Figuring out like actually working with you, Sam, on messaging and cleaning up. And it's kind of a hard thing to market, honestly, because everyone is like, grief, no one's died in the last 2 months in my life, I don't need it. And like as we've seen from the podcast, it's like, oh no, this stuff is way more than that. But it's a hard message to kind of get across to people. So those are the three kind of on my plate right now.
Yeah.
That I'm looking at. How about you?
Last year I had this massive list, and I had it around this time of the year. Like I just was like, dude, here's 30 things I want to do. And I did a lot of them pretty early in the year.
Nice.
I don't have that this year. I think I'll put some thought into it this week. I mean, the big ones for me are budgeting. I had the same one. I just like that's something I'm eager to get sorted out and really get us on a sustainable kind of agreed upon way of managing that, where it's like not just we're locked in for a week and then something happens and we forget about it.
Yeah.
Like we really need to just get dialed with that.
Yep, totally.
I kind of feel like, we're navigating bigger decisions around moving. We're looking at obviously trying to get property or a house up closer to you guys, and like a major decision.
Yes.
And I kind of feel like we need to figure out the basics and demonstrate that we can do the basics well before that door opens up for us. Is kind of how I'm feeling right now.
Yep.
So that's definitely on my mind. And, we've talked about I'm a newish Christian, as of the last year and a half or so. And one of my goals for this last year was to read a lot of the Bible. And I did. I read the majority of the New Testament minus Revelations, which I started, and it's real crazy. And I kind of was like, I got to come back to this later. And I did some stuff in the Old Testament. I read a lot of Proverbs and like one of the other wisdom books. I forget the name right now. But anyways, Book of Solomon. I don't know. Anyways, I want to this year just become more of there's a big difference between like consuming a lot at once versus like really studying and becoming more of like an expert and, like really just dissecting stuff and understanding stuff more deeply.
Yeah.
And so I'd say that's probably my primary goal this year, which I think also is also telling about where I was at a year ago, where I was like, I got to do these like 40 things, for my year to be a success. And this year I kind of feel like that priority has shifted for me more, where I'm like, I really wanted to spend time there and just become more of a student and have that be more a part of my life. Because I found it to be very helpful, like in what little knowledge I do have of it. It's been really helpful in just everyday life, being able to explain stuff to our kids, navigate something like finances. Like it's just kind of like, it's always helped to have deeper knowledge. And I think I've gotten my head wrapped around a lot of like the concepts and like the kind of broader narrative and that sort of thing. So that's probably my number one thing.
Nice.
But I know like there's a lot of other things. Like I guess what I'm saying is I don't care as much as I used to about like, oh, I'm gonna like try this new like biohack this year, and like I'm gonna be carnivore, like keto, or like lose this weight, or like gain this weight, or hit this PR. Like I'm kind of just like whatever. I do want to do grief recovery work this year. I know we were talking about you guys have something in March in LA. I want to do that.
Dude, that would be great. That'd be cool.
Yeah. I think like for me, areas of opportunity, the spiritual stuff is a big one for me because that's new in my life. I feel like I came into that very late in life. And have a lot of kind of catching up to do and learning to do. And then like stuff like grief recovery, like that's an area where I'm also, I think, weak and need to like spend more time, just like I know I have like issues there I have to work through and like work to be done. I don't feel that way with working out. I'm like, I'm always going to work out. And like, I've had that locked in for 20 years, 25 years.
Yeah. You're just always freakishly strong.
I'm
really happy for you. Must be nice.
I'm basically just fully dialed, dude. There's nothing else to do.
My cousin who's from Iowa, and he was a wrestler. He's like 6'4", like 240, just like the strongest dude I've ever met. Like moves like a grizzly bear, built like a grizzly bear.
Yeah.
He's like, we were workout partners growing up and stuff. And he was like, Cole, just so you know, I could be in a coma for 2 years and wake up and I would still be stronger than you. Must be nice. Anyway, I think about you that way too.
Yeah, no,
That's
well,
a term of endearment.
that's
so.
not true for me though. I'm learning that I still can fall off pretty quick.
Dude, I don't believe it. I've seen you squat and bench, dude. You have freakish strength, dude.
I was benching yesterday and it was not feeling great. Like I can feel the weight coming off, and
Can
I
ya?
can,
Yeah.
It's minor.
Yeah. But anyway, sorry, we got sidetracked.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I love that, dude. I'm pumped for you to go through grief recovery.
Yeah.
And then, I was thinking a goal for me could be like, do you think TUI would let me play cowbell on stage, like at a show or something? So I could check that box. Is that possible?
Yeah, dude. If you come to the UK, I think
Yes.
I think we're doing that. I don't know if we've announced that, so I don't want to say anything more. But
Okay.
if that happens and
Yeah.
you come 100%, you can play cowbell. I would love that.
Dude, I could die a happy man if I play the cowbell on stage with TUI.
That does remind me, though. I do have a goal around spending more time writing music this year. I've just found
You've talked about that.
Yeah, I'm looking to go out to the East Coast to spend some time jamming, maybe in the next month or two.
Yep.
I've just found, as I've kind of shuffled through different phases of life and like what's important and what's not and what's going to stay here and what's not, like that's just one of the most satisfying, just like deeply fulfilling things for me to do. Especially with, like the guys that I have written the most with, like Justice and
Yep.
Brendan. It's like I haven't been able to be in a room with them in like 8 years.
Yep.
And before that, like 12. Like it's like,
Wow.
it's a
Yeah.
long time. And that is just the best feeling to me, is
Yeah.
getting to just be in a room together and write music. I haven't been able to do it.
Yeah.
Like I've been writing stuff, but it's been on my own. It's just not the same.
Yeah.
Being in a room jamming with dudes like that are like, you're so like, when we get to play together, it's like we barely even talk
Yep.
because we don't need, like, we just can just look at each
Yeah.
other and like know what we're thinking, and it's just like, it's such a special thing, and life is short. It's just like, I'm turning 40 in a few months. Like, it's like, how many opportunities am I going to have to, I want to keep doing that.
You got to do that, bro.
Yeah.
Because it's been a couple years where you've been wanting to make that happen.
Yeah.
And like you got to make that happen, dude.
Yeah.
For
It's just,
sure.
it's just a great feeling, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Love that.
that's another one for me. I do want to make time for that this year. Let's see, what time is it? Why don't we do Enrique's questions? We had a deeper question here. I wonder if we handle that offline or another time, or do you want to hit that one?
Yeah. Let's hit it.
Okay.
Let's hit it.
Let's do that first. So this one is a much deeper question with a lot of context that we're going to kind of consolidate, and as to not overshare details. So keep that in mind.
Wait, did you just say his name?
No.
I think you did.
No, Enrique had other questions.
Okay.
I haven't said this guy's name.
We're going to this will all be edited out.
Enrique had separate questions. We'll get to those. This is a separate question, another guy. It's about his marriage, and the summary, and I hate to summarize, but the summary is basically that he's been married for over a decade, and close to that long ago has felt kind of distanced from his wife, and they've had trouble kind of, they are trying to maintain civility raising their kids. And he, upon listening to our last episode around masking pain with anger, realized that he was doing that in his marriage, and he is masking a lot of pain. And so his question, to kind of put it into a kind of single question, was how do you grieve the loss of a relationship while still maintaining civility and raising a family? So you're kind of grieving the loss of a living relationship while still having to be civil with that person and kind of, in this case, raise children together.
Yeah. And again, thank you for this question. I can't imagine what it's like for you right now in that situation. And let me just start by saying, if you email support@thegriefrecoverymethod.com and just ask for me, I'd be happy to have a phone call with you and talk a little bit more in detail. I think our answer right now, because again, I'd need to know a lot more details and stuff on how I could help and stuff, or how our work could help really more specifically. So I think, if we can tackle more of like this this question in a broader sense, just for all of us, because I was telling Sam before we hit record, the reality is every one of us, whether we want to admit it or not, has unfinished emotional business with our wives. Yeah. Some of us have a little unfinished emotional business. Some of us have massive amounts of unfinished emotional business with our wives, right? So the answer is, in my world, we should all be doing work on getting complete with what is unfinished emotionally with our wives, so that we have the capability or opportunity to be in the moment moving forward, right? My goal is to be as emotionally complete with the past with my wife as I can be, so when I get home tonight, I can be truly in the moment with her.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, if I am unfinished with, 15 years of us arguing about finances, if I'm not complete with that, when we try and budget tonight on 2026, there's going to be fireworks, because I will have a bunch of triggers from the past. She will have a bunch of triggers from the past, and we will not be able to calmly, in the moment, talk about how we're moving forward, because it's like, but you did this, and so that's why we still owe money on that car. Or why don't I have a car, and why did you get this, right? Like, that kind of stuff is unfinished emotional business from the past. So it behooves us to get complete with that stuff, okay? So that we can move forward. Now, this stuff is kind of trivial versus kind of what this gentleman's talking about. So I'm not trying to compare, or I'm not trying to minimize, the real struggle he's going through. I'm just trying to create an example of what we're talking about when we talk about unfinished emotional stuff. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, so anyway, we are grieving all the time. We're grieving change. We're grieving expectations and hopes and dreams that weren't met for the future. We're grieving what we thought the relationship would be, and it's not that. We're all grieving that kind of stuff in our living relationships day to day, right? And so some of those things, right, some of us, we're trying to correct course and work and improve on our marriages. Some of us feel like our marriages are totally dead and we're just stuck in them, But my hope would be for every man listening to this podcast that is married or not, I don't even care. My hope would be for you to do grief recovery work on your romantic relationships of the past or your current marriage, so that you can jettison a lot of that hurt and pain, so that we can kind of figure out where we are going to go from here, right? Can we repair the marriage? Because I've seen grief recovery work do work miracles in people's relationships. I've seen it to where they were on the brink of divorce, they were ready for divorce, and grief recovery changed their whole mindset, and they ended up having a great marriage. I've heard a number of people give credit to the grief recovery method on saving their marriage, right?
Sure.
And so if we have 10 or 15 years of grief that's overshadowing everything, that seems impossible. Yeah. Like, I can't love this woman anymore. I loved her once, but I won't ever love her again. That's unresolved grief. That's unresolved emotional pain. When we can resolve that emotional pain, you may have a different outlook, although that probably seems impossible right now, right? Let me just, I'm just proud of this. Real quick, if you guys don't mind, humor me. This is a comment on one of our pages.
You sent me this morning?
Yeah, it made my day.
I didn't see it.
So this person says, we are not there to fix them. This is a person who does our work. She's a facilitator of our work.
Okay.
And she's, they're talking about, different stuff. But she says, we are not there to fix them. They are not broken. We are there to be a listening heart with ears. I have 12 years experience of doing GRM with human trafficking survivors. All the counseling in the world cannot do what the GRM can do.
Wow.
Right? That's what this person, a 12-year facilitator of this work, is talking about, with people who have been sex trafficked, right? So if it can do that for those type of people with those type of abuses done to them, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it can help our marriages. Maybe it can help improve our marriages. Maybe it can help improve our relationship with our mom or our dad. Like, again, I just see this work so often. And so that's why it's like the short answer to that gentleman's question is I want to help you, or someone from my team. I want to help you specifically with this stuff. Obviously, we can't get into that over the podcast, but generally speaking, we all have work to do on our marriages. We all have hopes and dreams and expectations of how it will be.
Yeah.
That didn't work out that way.
Yep.
We all wish we could have done different, better, or more in the relationship. We all wish our wife could do stuff different, better, or more in the relationship. That's the iceberg underneath the water that we accumulate in long-term relationships. Yeah. And that's the stuff that you can do something about, but most people don't, right? If we're really honest, it's like, how much do we really work on our marriages? This is not counseling. This is not marriage counseling. This is not marriage therapy. This would be my vote for most people to go to long before they do marriage counseling and marriage therapy.
Interesting.
Like, I'll just say that.
That makes sense.
You know,
yeah, I can see that.
like, you're doing it indirectly of your wife. You're doing it indirectly of your husband. The hurt and the pain you're sharing with other people, not necessarily them. And so it is a lot more it creates a lot more of this and a lot less fighting, and some beautiful stuff. Now, sometimes we have to approach each other directly and have some really uncomfortable stuff, but I would say that like a lot of modern ways people are repairing is too combative and too much of this, you know? And that's what I love about this method is you can repair a lot of stuff indirectly of your spouse without them even knowing the hurt that you're working on.
Yeah.
And that's, I know it makes no sense right now. If you're just listening, you're like, what are you talking about? But it's like, it's in that book. And it's, if you want to work deeper than that book, we have people that are willing to work deeper than that book. Because make no mistake, just like anything, right? There's always ways to work deeper than just a book, but a lot of that stuff is in there too. But anyone that listens to this podcast, if you want to do this work, like I can help you do that. So it's just support at thegriefrecoverymethod.com.
Cool. All right, let's hit Enrique real quick. So we had two questions. One was around how to remain intimate with your wife after having a newborn. And I think that's on the minds of many people.
Yeah, so I would just say thank you for the question. And I would say this is every man with a new baby from the dawn of time, right? Is like has this question at some point in their, you know, in that first year or whatever. I remember I was in my 20s and I worked as a personal assistant in Hollywood for this high-powered entertainment guy, and he was a genius. Like he was like top of his game. He was like a beast when it came to business, and he mentored me for years. And I just got stuff thrown at me and yelled at and stuff. And you know, it was like one of the proving grounds of my life in terms of like, you know, just persevering. And anyway, I owe a lot to this guy. He was a great guy. But anyway, one day he just started talking to me about, you know, one day you're going to get married. And at the time I was with Ashley, but we were dating, right? And he's like, one day you guys are going to get married. And, you know, this woman you love is going to grow this baby, you know, in her womb. And then 9 months later, like she's going to give birth. And he kind of went, I don't want to say graphically, but he went into a lot of detail about what that's going to do to her body. Mm-hmm. Right. And, you know, and then he was talking about other stuff, and I'm just like, why is he talking to me about this stuff? I didn't ask about this stuff. There's nowhere near my radar. But anyway, looking back, I remember when my wife had the baby years and years later, our first baby, I remember being so grateful that he walked me down this path. So basically what he talked about was, you know, it's like you come together, right? And you have all this romance, and you know you guys explore each other's bodies, and that's all you know of your woman, right? And then she becomes a mom, and then there's this thing that's depending on her, and you know, depending on the pregnancy, it could be a really rough pregnancy for her lady parts down there, right? And the healing, and we have no idea about what amount of healing is going on, and like the different changes that go on in her body, and you know, and we're used to having this woman as kind of our sexual partner, right? And we feel more alone than ever with this new baby in terms of like, we're not really even on the roster of things that matter at that point, you know? And so we're already feeling that way. And one of the places men are comforted is obviously intimacy, and there's zero of that going on. So as we know, this creates a lot of divorce. Like men and women not coming back together after their baby sexually, like that creates a lot of divorce. So I think that's why we're talking about this. So anyway, my boss was telling me about just how physically, I don't want to say damaged, but physically hurt they are after childbirth, right? And he said, and then at a certain point, as the husband, you know, as the man, he didn't give me a timeline on this, but at some point you got to kind of, you know, help her find her sexuality again with you, it was kind of his point, right? And he shared with me different ways they did that, and they would take trips, and they'd go, you know, on date nights, and they would, he helped her come back to her sexuality, right? Is basically the gist of what he talked about.
Yeah.
And he just wanted me to be aware of this stuff. And boy, was I grateful again. Months and months, 6 months, 7, 8 months, 9 months, a year after this baby, right?
Yeah.
Helping her find intimacy again,
Yeah.
right? So that's part of our jobs, whether we like it or not, I guess is the point, right? It's
Yeah.
like, number one, having the kindness and the patience to understand that they are healing from a very traumatic physical, birth, no matter what. I don't care how easy the birth was. It's not usually for new moms. C-section, vaginally, it doesn't matter. It's like, that is a very traumatic thing, and we have to know that there's a lot more repairing than maybe we think is going on.
Yeah.
Like, and the time limit, and then again, how do we come together to find this together? The other point that I wanted to make was, I had this talk with Ashley before she even had the baby. Like, I had kind of this talk about, hey, at some point, and I don't know, and this is your body, and I have no idea how you do this miraculous thing you're doing, and I'm so appreciative of this and all that. And, at some point down the road, whenever, and we don't know when that is, but we just have to, me and you, have to be a team and find out how to come back and find intimacy together, right? And can we just keep the lines of communication open, and can we just have a plan on how this is going to happen? Do you know what I mean? And so if you lose that for a year, 2 years, 2.5 years, like, that's a hard thing to come back from.
Yeah.
And so I think just discussing the different needs and wants of both the man and the woman, right? And like, and Ashley has had, conversations with me where she's like, Cole, I am overstimulated. I have kids touching me all the time. This one's breastfeeding. These two are missing, not being the baby. They're on me all day long. Like, it's just too much touch, right?
Yeah.
And I have to understand that too, and I have to respect that. And like, we have to lovingly together navigate that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think all those conversations are good, but I think don't have an expectation on when your wife is going to be ready. And then I would put an expectation on you that it's part of your job to help her find that part of her again. And there's probably a lot of options in a lot of ways with different people's situations on how you need to do that.
Yeah.
I
think the one thing that we got wrong on this is both of us didn't realize how important it was.
Yeah.
Like, I think we kind of saw it as a nice to have, and then we had lots of stress in the early first couple years once we had our first, where we were moving a bunch. We had some drama with our first house we had to like move out of quickly. We had like COVID stuff happening. We had a very stressful first couple years, and I think we kind of brushed that off as like, hey, it's not important because we're focused on these other things right now.
Yes.
It's like a nice to have. It's more about me than it, you know what I mean? And that was a miscalculation.
Yes.
And we both realize that how important it is now to just maintaining there's something intangible that I think it does for both people in the relationship to have that ongoing level of intimacy. And I think that can scale up and down from just basic day-to-day stuff also, just like being physically in touch with each other and being physically close to each other, all the way through sexual intimacy, I think is like a thing that does something for your relationship that, again, I don't think we fully appreciated early on.
Yeah, 100%. And also just, another piece of this is like, how do I take the kids so you can go work out? Because again, like the reality is a lot of women after birth, they don't feel as confident with their bodies.
Yeah.
Their core is completely gone, and it's like, how do we build you up and make you feel strong again? And how do we actually help you rehab your body? And how do we help you get into some of the clothes that made you feel sexy again? Like, it's a whole, like, we know, right? Women's sexuality is a massive, it's like that meme where there's just like all the calculus, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, so many of these stars have to align for her to be, ready to like get in bed with you. Where for me, I could be a leper and be like a day from death. And if she's like offers me sex, it's happening and I'm going to enjoy it. Where, the calculus has to be so much more correct for my wife. And like part of you helping is you figuring out this calculation with her,
I think the flip side of all this too is you can overdo it in both directions. I remember there was a book that I feel like every new dad reads. It's called like What to Expect When You're Expecting or something like that. It's like one of the most famous kind of pre-kid books.
Yeah.
And dude, every single chapter just starts with something about sex, like how long until sex again? How long until sex again? How long until sex again? And I remember being kind of like feeling gross reading that book of just like, this is weird. Like this like weird, like middle-aged dude is like just talking about sex the whole time, and it's kind of off-putting. And I think the thing that was off-putting to me about it, which again, this is the counterbalance to everything we're saying, is like, you have to also be okay with the fact that like you are making a sacrifice in this equation.
Yes.
Like it is not, this equation does not all come back to you and when can this happen again for you? Like
Right.
that is not the most important thing anymore.
Right.
It's important
Right.
because of what we said. Like
Yes.
it's an important part of your relationship dynamic.
Yeah.
But you are not the star of the show. Like you are not the hero in the movie, and it's all, when do we get things back into order so I can get back to, you know, it's like that is over. And I think that's a hard thing for people to navigate too, and kind of the volatility of having a kid for the first time, where it's like everything's changing physically. There's been a lot of, you know, like trauma and like to the body, and like we're not sleeping. Like there's all this physical stuff, emotional stuff, but it's also, I think, for a lot of people getting comfortable with the idea of like extended sacrifice sometime of just like, hey, I'm not going to get this thing that I need, and I have to be okay with that.
Yeah. It's, I think the truth lies in the middle, because I've seen extremes on both sides. I've seen extremes where the guy means nothing.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, nope, I'm full-time mom for life. And like, you know, I'm just not into that anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I feel like the woman and the man, the husband and the wife, need to be working their asses off to meet in the middle.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, I don't want to say as soon as possible, but I think that has to be an active thing, that they're coming together, like at some point. Like I hear you. I think a smart mindset for the guy is like, hey, like you like, this isn't part of the equation right now, right? But I think also
it's not the most important thing in the equation either. Like I think that's the blind spot that people have. It's like people are so focused on their needs. It's like, yeah, of course, take your time, but really we got to get back to me, you know. And it's like the balance.
Well,
has
it's not
shifted.
really me though. It's like you just said it earlier. It's us.
Yeah.
We need to get back to us, because
But that's a healthy way of thinking about it. I'm
right,
saying that
but even then, that's
Yeah.
there's still like us working towards that, because it is a core piece of our marriage.
I think that's the right way to do it.
You know, like,
Yeah.
and I guess that's what like that boss was trying to help me understand,
Yeah.
is this is a team sport, obviously, and this is a team, but this is a team helping us find us as a couple, because so many parents lose their way into, we are only parents now.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And for the wife, because of all the burden that they're bearing with the kids, I think it's easier for the wife to fall down that trap.
Yep.
And then the guy looks selfish, because he's like,
Yeah.
is it time yet? But it's like, but like you said, how do we convince our wife that this is for both of us? This is for our love together. Like, this is for us to stay intact as the couple.
Yeah.
Right. And so
I think that's an area of growth, I think, for a lot of couples and people going through this for the first time, is navigating the shift from me and you, like you and your wife as individuals, to being together. Like, and this isn't something that I feel like is complete for us. Like, I think we're still learning how to do that better, of like, it's not about me, the individual, and you. It's like us as a kind of married singular entity, right? And it's like that just works differently than what you're used to before.
Yeah. It's really, again, I think the goal is, it's good for us to be talking about this. And I think my hope and my takeaway is that guys listening to this, either find a way or, you know, develop a way to openly talk regularly to their wives about intimacy.
Yeah.
And what's the game plan, and what do we each need? Where are we struggling with this? Where are we feeling like, you know, this isn't a priority, or is it, or how can we get back to where we were? But like, even, you know, my oldest is 6, right? And my youngest is 6 and my oldest is 13. So we're way far away from childbirth time.
Yeah.
But it's still absolutely something we're working towards on a weekly basis, you know? And so I don't think it ever stops in a marriage, but like, if you don't get, I was going to use a really bad pun, if you don't figure out a way to come together again, it can be rough. Like,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of breakups are around this topic. So I think it's really important for us to talk about this and
Yeah.
openly and,
Mhm.
and give each other game plans on like what worked for you, what worked for
Yeah.
you.
And I'll say this too, like, I think this is also where people get sucked into like porn and stuff like that and like those type of rabbit holes. I wouldn't be so easy on yourself to justify something like that. Like going back to the whole sacrifice idea, like sacrifice means that you are doing something that you don't want to do. And like, that's kind of it. You know what I mean? It's
Yes.
like, so you don't get a free pass to be like, well, this isn't happening right now, so I get to like watch porn. Like,
Yeah.
I don't agree with that.
Well, and I've definitely made that mistake plenty in my marriage, and it is absolutely a dark, not fun place to be.
Yeah.
And it's something I've worked on for sure, is like, that exact thing.
Yeah.
I think too, right? We all come to the table with different levels of sexual desire or sexual trauma that we're healing from, or whatever. Like, we're all dealing with our own things. Some people like struggle with food. Some people struggle with sex. Like, we're all. So I think you also have to just work on like, okay, well, what is my expectation healthy and natural for the amount of sex I want, or is it something that's like from trauma from my past, or and sorting that out, right? Sexuality is a very tricky thing. So I like where you're going with this.
I guess my point is, like, I think people use things like this as excuses to do other things, right? And I was thinking about this morning. I think there's something to be said for taking extreme stances on things. Like, I love the idea of just being like, yeah, I'm actually not going to do that at all. Like, because if you defer to kind of what's normal in society, it's kind of like, well, don't everything in moderation, don't like overdo it. As long as I do a little bit, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a couple drinks here and there, like a little bit of porn, that's fine. Like, everyone does it.
Right.
I think it's kind of cool to not do that and just be like, hey, actually, I'm not going to do that at all. Like, that's kind of where I'm at on the porn stuff. Like, not at all.
Right.
And for a long time. And like, same with like drinking. Like, I will never drink in my entire life.
Right.
Don't tell me that I'm like, I should have a couple of glasses of wine here and there because it's good. Like I'm just not going to do that at all.
Right.
And so I think you don't get that message in like Gen Pop society, but I also am just encouraging that there's something to that. Like, in these situations, especially, to just be like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Like, we're just going to grind it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. I got nothing more.
Yeah. I got to pee real bad. Last thing I wanted to say is we posted a video a couple weeks ago that got a bunch of views and shares and stuff, which is awesome.
Yeah, that went viral.
But it's like reaching the like depths of the internet, and like there's definitely like comments that are all the comments, the lowest common denominator is all about Starbucks, because I mentioned in the clip something about Starbucks and being at Starbucks. They're like, oh yeah, Starbucks is real hardcore. Like, they really pay fair wages and like just like weird stuff like that. Like, I would never step foot in a Starbucks and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I just want to make a statement that I support Starbucks, and I won't let you make me feel bad about that, because when you travel a lot, it's like a beacon of light in the darkness when you're like in the middle of rural North Dakota and there's just a Starbucks off the exit, and I just know that they have egg bites, that they have coffee. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's not a diss on local coffee shops. I needed to just straighten that out.
Yeah. Well, there was another comment though, wasn't there, about like letting your kids run around like barefoot in Starbucks?
Yeah, people were real bent out of shape about that, which I hopefully clarified that was more a figure of speech and illustrative. Like, I don't think that we've ever done that.
Yeah.
I was trying to make the point that our kids are just wild, sometimes in places where they're not usually. So people, again, outside of the circle of our podcast, were like triggered by that.
Yeah.
Most people are stoked, but I think some people are triggered, which is just funny to me.
Well, and going back to another episode, like that must be nice syndrome that people are dealing with, like that's just a variation of that, right? Where it's like, I'm going to go on the internet and be critical of how someone else parents, or I'm going to find something that's not even like really, we weren't even being real about it. It's like, your kids aren't really running around Starbucks. It was a joke, but it's like, I'm going to critique that. Yeah. It's like, if that is you, like, there's some work to be done there, like but anyway, but we got to take a break. Let's take a break and then we'll get
I
back
think
to
we're
it.
good. I think we're good, man.
Okay,
I mean,
cool.
I think we covered all of them. I say we call it.
Awesome.
If you're good.
Yeah. Yeah, we appreciate the Q&As and the feedback, and and again, it's like parenting is not easy. Being in a marriage is not easy, right? So I think it's good for us to just talk about stuff, talk stuff through. Like Sam and I aren't always going to agree on stuff. And I think that's all really healthy. And I think that's honestly what we need more is conversations. And like, I think I'm right, he thinks he's right, or, whatever the case is. And then it's like, and then we can just still be friends, right? Like, I think our country desperately needs ways to just have civil conversations and be like, oh, yeah, that's an interesting point, and here's what I think. And, like, that's just, that's how it's
we've
done.
had a couple of those through the podcast, which is awesome. Like, people like will message us and be like, I don't really agree with that thing you said, but here's what I think.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's like, that's being mature, right? That's being adults.
Hopefully we're like attracting people like that. I think we are. I
think we are too, because like you said, you called it. The only reason we were getting these weird comments about Starbucks barefoot critiques, right?
Yeah.
Is because we were like way viral and we were just catching random people out there that weren't like the people that are coming to listen to
this. I think we'll probably continue to see some of that. I mean, because like 1,000 people followed us in the last week from that thing. Yeah. And it's like, there's going to be some people that aren't down, and just not maybe the right fit for the podcast that we'll probably find that out soon enough, or just have something to fight with us on.
We look forward to it.
I guess.
We look forward to it.
Oh, I keep forgetting to do this. I want to start doing this at the beginning of every podcast just so we have a reminder. But if you are getting anything out of the podcast, please leave a rating. If you listen on Spotify, it's not leaving a review. There's literally you can just tap out of the episode, go to like the podcast home screen, leave No Doubt Fatherhood podcast, leave a rating, just hit the 5-star rating.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing else to be done. It takes 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Please do that if you're listening to this. And also if you listen on Apple podcasts, leave a rating or a review would be awesome, just to help other guys find the podcast.
Yep.
And help get it out there. So yeah.
Yep. And then, we got a lot in store in 2026. I'm excited. I know we got topics. And I don't know if this is going to go down or not. I probably shouldn't even mention it, but we do have a couple of people that we think would be good guests. And so we're going to probably try that a little bit. And so please listen to some of those episodes and let us know what you think about that format too. Again, we're just exploring stuff. We don't really have plans. We don't know, how this is all going to go, but we do appreciate your support. And we really are, I think we're both fired up that we do have steady growth and we're getting good feedback on doing this, and so that tells us, I think, like it's, again, it's a needed take to have fatherhood where it's just not one extreme caricature of fatherhood, right? And you're looking at different points and it's like, this worked for me or this worked for me, or, hey, honestly, this worked for me, but it's not where I want to be. It's like, just coming from a place of truth is, I think, what we're really trying to provide, because we don't have sponsors. We don't have people, like, there's no money involved in this. This is just like some guys shooting from the heart on what we think other guys are probably going through.
Yeah. Yet though. So if you are listening and you happen to be Equip protein supplements, cool outdoor brand, KUHL.
Yes.
Glock.
Yep.
Nixie sparkling water, Spindrift sparkling water.
Yeah.
Toyota. What else?
If you are Snowboard Company,
okay.
I would take snowboards. Rogue Fitness. Please,
yes.
Rogue Fitness, holler at us.
Yeah.
Get in touch with us.
We
just accepting. Have to. Here's the deal, though. Maybe we can agree on this or not right now, since we're looking for controversial stuff for our new listeners. I feel like we should only take sponsors that aren't going to make us compromise on any messaging, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like, no one can argue with Cool Pants. They're awesome. No one can argue with Rogue Racks, right? We won't compromise what we need to say, because we're like, we can't be sponsored by pharmaceutical companies. Let's say that.
I don't think we're at risk of that. I don't think they're checking out the podcast. Like, these guys are aligned with the message. Perfect.
So, World Economic Forum, if you want to sponsor us, we're going to say no. So you may as well
I don't think we're at risk of any of that, fortunately.
But here's a good one, though. Like, I would have a problem with it, but clearly you wouldn't. Like, I don't want Starbucks as a sponsor.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't go big
Like,
corporate.
that's veering into some compromised areas.
I have a beef with people that like have a problem with like when people attack something like Metallica just because they're popular. And it's the same thing for me with Starbucks. I'm like, yeah, sorry, they built a great company, and like there's a reason why there's Starbucks everywhere, and I want more Starbucks. Like I actually am stressed out when I can't reach a Starbucks within like a quarter mile of wherever I am, or a mile.
This is going to be like a fight, dude. We're about to fight right now.
I'm trying to stir the pot a little bit.
Are you a local Starbucks like, do you partake in Starbucks locally when you're home?
Yeah.
Be honest.
Yeah, I do. But it's, by the way, it's more like fringe use cases. Like I will hit Starbucks when I'm like 5 a.m. leaving for a trip type of deal.
Oh yeah,
I don't do recreational Starbucks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Good.
I do. I've done egg bites here and there just because like it just made sense logistically. But no, there's so many good local spots.
How many
here.
seed oils do you think are in Starbucks egg bites?
That's the thing is.
And comment if you know.
This is why I train my body the way that I do and stay in good shape, is so that I can eat egg bites without massive repercussion.
Yeah. That's a good strategy. I think a lot of military guys do that. Like they try and eat clean, but then when they're deployed or like whatever, they have to just survive on garbage and thrive.
Yeah.
And so that's a good point, because like my wife tries to have our kids eat like nothing but healthy stuff all the time. And like innately, I want to get McDonald's in them and some other GMOs just so they know how to function versus like fully collapsing on like food that I grew up on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like they got to give their engine a little bit of that fuel to know how to not totally fold. You know? It's like
that's a good point.
It's like raising kids in the Pacific Northwest. Dude, if it gets above 75 degrees in athletic events for kids up here, they literally fold and start crying. I'm like, dude, it's 77 degrees. Dude, calm down. Like, I played sports in, 105 degree weather.
We're not doing a good job modeling this, by the way, with food. But long story short, like I'm pro Starbucks. When I walk into the airport, I emotionally need to know that there's multiple Starbucks that I can reach by foot within the terminal.
Are you one of those dudes that orders on your phone and picks it up?
I can't figure that out. I can't be bothered with that.
Okay, I'm glad, because this is messing up my image of you a little bit, and also viewers.
No, dude. Any real one, especially ex bodybuilder, knows. Did I tell you about when I went to the Starbucks in I think it was at LAX recently?
Did you just refer to yourself as an ex bodybuilder?
Yeah. I can comfortably say that.
Have you ever competed in bodybuilding?
I've come close. I've like lived the lifestyle for years.
Close.
I lived the lifestyle for years on end to where I like fully identified as a bodybuilder.
How were you like straight up in the mix of like just heavy steroid use in the bodybuilding community?
All right. Well, the cameras keep dying.
Sorry, guys.
Not that you'll be able to tell listening to this, but we got to wrap this one up anyways. I feel like we've said it all.
Yeah, we went down some
We've
weird
said too
rabbit
much.
holes. Where were we? I think we were talking about steroid use in bodybuilding or Starbucks.
You were diminishing. Oh, I was telling my bodybuilder at Starbucks story. And
wait, there's a bodybuilder at Starbucks?
Yeah, so I was in line at LAX at Starbucks, and there was a dude in front of me ordering. I couldn't hear what he was ordering, and I'm just looking at him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that dude just ordered 3 orders of egg bites, bacon egg bites. I know that's what he ordered. I know exactly what's happening right now. And this dude was clearly on steroids. And we're like waiting, and it's taking forever for them to come out because it's busy, And this dude starts huffing and puffing and like pacing around and like waving his arms at the kitchen and like mouthing like, "What's going on?" or something like that. Like what's taking so long? Like he was mouthing that and like
just massive roid rage.
Like literal roid rage. And they're like, okay, 3 orders of bacon egg bites for Jason.
Shout out to Jason if you're listening.
Yeah. Which is also the same order that I had.
Yeah.
So
there's another part to this story that I think is fun, but we won't get into that.
all that to say that, you know, there's some of us out there that support Starbucks, and I'm glad they're here, and I feel safe when there's a Starbucks close by. So if you have a problem with that, that's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
That's who I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just being true to myself.
Way to be authentic.
Yeah, thanks.
Way to be authentic. Yeah, I don't really feel one way or another with Starbucks, but I do somehow understand what you're saying. You've turned me on to the egg bite travel routine.
Yep.
And I do that now at airports. So now I feel that same sense of security when I'm close to a Starbucks when I'm on the road.
They carry egg bites, perfect bars, which is a type of protein bar with organic ingredients.
I don't know about that.
Well, I mean,
I'll look into them.
you can disagree with, like, I'm just saying that factually they carry perfect bars, and those are organic. They're not, it's like they have, like, you know, like almond butter and peanut butter flavors and stuff like
Gotcha.
that. And like
Yeah.
the protein's not from protein powder or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like from peanut butter or whatever. But,
Yeah.
you know, 16 or 17 grams,
Yeah.
good ingredients. They have spindrifts. They have, you know, quite a selection. So I just want
They're carrying Ollipops now too.
to, Ollipops. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just want to shout out Starbucks, dude. Give some respect where respect is due.
We're like 3 hours in now, and we're
Yeah.
like spiraling.
All right. Well, let's call it a day.
Cool. Well, again, thanks for the feedback, the Q&A. We hope you have a great New Year's, everybody, and we are looking forward to being back next year with some new topics.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. See ya.